If we could go ahead and stand, join me for the Pledge of Allegiance, please.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, if we could please get a roll call.
Chairperson Davis,
Here.
Vice Chairperson Ezell,
Here.
Commissioner Lance, Commissioner Sherrill,
Here.
Commissioner Souder.
Here.
We can. Okay, next item, we have two different approval of minutes. The first one is, if we could review and, vote on everyone looking in the minutes from the July 12th emergency meeting. If everyone has reviewed, if we could please get, a motion of those minutes.
For both of them?
No, just for the first one at this time.
July 12th?
Yes, sir.
Because you
June.
said emergency meeting.
Yes.
That was 26th.
I apologize.
And it's also
Thank you.
June.
It's also June.
Yes, I apologize. My voice is gone, so I'm trying to just get every word out. Okay, so let's go ahead and start with June 26th meeting, the emergency hearing. If we could get a motion on those minutes, please.
Motion to accept the minutes for the June 26th emergency meeting.
I'd like to second that. Motion and second.
Vice Chairperson Ezell,
Yes.
Commissioner Lance, Commissioner Sherrill,
Yes.
Commissioner Souder,
Abstain.
Chairperson Davis.
Yes. The next approval of the minutes is from June 12th, standard monthly.
June 26th.
Commission.
26th.
No, 26 was emergency. We're now voting on
Oh,
the standard.
My bad.
If we could get a motion on those minutes, please.
I'll keep up one day.
A motion on June 12th.
Second.
We have a motion and a second on the minutes from June 12th.
Vice Chairperson Ezell,
Yes.
Commissioner Sherrill,
Yes.
Commissioner Souder,
Yes.
Chairperson Davis.
Yes. Next item is any communication or comments from the public at this time before we get started with all of our business. If there is none, we can go ahead and get started. The first item that is in front of the commission tonight is 1604 Glomont Drive. This is an update on progress from the June 12th meeting. We have anyone present? Okay.
So the property owners have cleared out the backyard to help the flow of the water directed to the ditch that runs to the road. They've done really well at that, actually. It's completely clear out back there. The crawl space of each unit has a new layer of gravel applied, and the crawl space is dry. New concrete foundations and CMU piers have been placed to reinforce the central beam line supporting the floor framing. On some of the exposed framing members, there are signs of damage, including some of the floor joists and some of the walls, but not all of the framing members are damaged. Just a few where the water has gotten to them over time. Majority of the areas that have damage are the bathrooms, bedrooms, and kitchens. The structural engineer suggests to infill the foundation vents with block and seal in the crawl space. They also recommended having a building envelope specialist confirm this approach. Once all the water intrusion issues have been mitigated, they recommend monitoring the building for further cracking and movement of the brick, veneer, and interior finishes, which could indicate the continuation of the foundation settlement. They also recommend removing all interior finishes in order to expose the structural framing so that it can be assessed for water damage. If that's not feasible, then they recommend at least removing the finishing on any of the area that's either discolored, cracked, warped, softened, or that has, a musty or moldy smell. If damaged members are found, they recommend further exposing adjacent areas to assess for the spread of water damage. They want to observe the damaged framing prior to any repair or replacement. They recommend placing any structural members that show replacing any of the structural members that show signs of damage or rot, and this includes all the framing, exterior wall sheathing, so your sheetrock, roof and ceiling framing, framing, and subfloor. So with all that being said, when they take off all of that sheathing on the inside, to assess the damage, and if it's, minor, we can kind of work with that and repair that as needed. Just, it depends on how many of those members truly need the work. I know that majority of it's gonna be your floor and your subfloor, so your joists and your subfloor. With that being said too, before the infill around the foundation is done with the blocks and they seal the crawl space, I do want permits pulled on that, if that's something that we allow today, so that we can make sure that we're doing inspections and they're meeting that. Also, that structural engineer, they want to come out and assess those members too before repairs can be made, so we're kind of on the same page with that as well. And then the biggest thing is just, and I think Ms. Sanders might have that today too, is just to kind of see the cost of what it's going to be to fix some of that, since they are working. But from what I got from the structural engineer's report, they seem that foundation, they just want to monitor that. They're not 100% for sure, but as of now, it's sound until it's not going to be if water keeps coming in. So.
And all the grading has already been done completely, like the trenching?
From what I can see, I did end up having code enforcement write up the neighbor, because their backyard where it also meets that ditch is overgrown and it's kind of coming into their side as well. So I just want to make sure that they're not going to be causing a problem for them as well. So I kind of hit two birds with one stone on that one.
When was that written up for the neighboring address?
I think we did that yesterday.
So they have 30 days to.
No, they got 10 days.
10 days to get that.
I understand you to say that we've installed concrete pillars underneath to support the floor. Did I?
That's what I got from the structural engineer's report.
And that's been done? Or that's what needs to happen?
That's what I read. It's been done. Do you know for sure?
I don't know.
I
They
didn't
didn't say
know we
anything
were
about it.
repairing right now.
You have to get a total cost of the remediation
Okay.
to make sure it doesn't go past, that benchmark.
Which I will say though, trying to keep that water out of there
Is
to
so
help
important.
support that, to just give it the support that it's needed to keep it from collapsing.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm not necessarily sold, but I'm also not like against them. Like they're trying to at least keep
Absolutely.
it up for now. So, but for them to continue on, if that's the path that is going to be taken, yes, we're going to have to get proper permits.
Yeah.
And if their structural engineers still want to do inspections and look at things, that's fine, but so are we.
So did I understand that the structural engineer is still involved in doing inspections actively?
So how can we just go in and start filling up foundations, I guess with block, whatever you want to do to support it, if we're not sure we're going to allow it to be fixed?
I think because essentially in the beginning it was to mitigate that water anyways, which is why they put the gravel in there to try to, I guess, absorb that, and help with the water runoff, which is what they did in the backyard. With them adding that support, I mean, being under that house, if you gotta support it and it's falling through as is with your subfloor, your joists, but they're trying to mitigate that, I'd kind of just let that balance if you want my honest opinion.
So they basically brought all the wood joists up and put concrete under it?
Well, in a sense, they just added the support under there to keep it up. They're gonna have to go back and fix it essentially.
This is
but-
pretty much a temporary.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
A temporary solution until we
Yes,
can come up with
yes,
a permanent.
yes.
Okay.
But you're still wanting us to agree to fill in the foundation all the way around, I guess, to seal it so water can't come through the block. Is that the way I understand this?
That's correct. However, I want to see the cost, like Ms. Davis just stated too, so that way we don't tell them, oh, go ahead and fill this, and then we get the cost of what it's gonna be, and then we're in a different
Because we're
situation.
looking at hardware removal, look at these walls to
Exactly.
expose these joists.
Exactly.
It can get on up there. And another question, the cost of the remediation to the outside, the trenching, all of that yard work that y'all had to do, does that go into the, okay, thank you.
All you're gonna look at is what it's gonna cost to bring that current structure, yes, up to habitable conditions. And I will say too, I know that they have a construction company, and correct me if I'm wrong, I don't know if y'all necessarily partner with them or how it works with like Zach, but they are a licensed construction company that does all the work for them.
What's the name of that company?
La Rosa.
La Rosa. Okay, it's right here on your
Yeah.
Structural engineer report, okay.
So with that being said too, I'm sure that their cost is probably gonna be a little bit cheaper because that construction company also does like repairs for a lot of y'all's rental properties, right? So,
So has any of the sheetrock cutting started
not that I know of.
to observe the wall?
I think they've taken a few things out where you could definitely tell that there was water damage for the structural engineer to observe, but no, they have not stripped the entire inside of the
Oh.
street sheetrock.
Well, not the entire place, but at least where he wanted to observe.
Yes,
So that, some of that has been done.
yes.
So that was actually bad behind it, so now we gotta do more, is that not correct?
I think that they want to continue it to make sure, because what I read in the report, or how I interpret it from the report, is you do have rotted members, but not everything is rotted. And even walking in there, you can tell when you walk on a floor and it's soft. You can tell when your joists are bad, etc. So the kitchens and the bathrooms, absolutely, you're gonna have to go down and replace those. But the living rooms weren't awful. They were manageable to walk on. They didn't feel soft. And then like the wall itself, it's really just, again, in the bedrooms were pretty bad, and the bathroom especially, just from all the water damage coming up and the moisture. So it just depends on if they want to go ahead and gut it completely to look at every single framing member, or if they want to take the recommendation and just look for water spots or discoloring, or, you know, if it feels wet, or, you know, you got the smells behind it that you can tell that there's been water damage, then they can take it off and look from there.
So at this time, we are still in investigation mode on the structure, and we don't have a plan necessarily in numbers and bids on what it's gonna take to bring it up to code yet. Is that correct?
No, because the numbers he sent me were, baby. He said the floor repair was gonna be 4,200, the structural work was gonna be 650. Bathroom repairs were gonna be 1,500. So it's well under, but he didn't give an exact thing of like remediation or anything. Just repairs that he thought would be upcoming.
Is there any mold issues with all of this water? Does that count any mold issues that may be going on there?
No, it doesn't look like it.
I would assume if you've got mold in your
Okay.
sheetrock and stuff, you're gonna have to rip that out. So if that part is included, putting up more sheathing and stuff, then I could see that, but
For 1,500?
That was for the bathrooms.
No, that was just the bathrooms.
yeah, I think y'all just did the bathrooms, didn't you? Like, broke it up.
And the 4,200 was for,
For floor repair.
and that's the subfloor. And the 650, I'm so sorry to repeat myself, what was that for?
Yeah, the 650 he said was for structural work.
Which
I would
is
assume all
what?
your framing and if you've got any joists that need to be replaced, et cetera, things of that sort.
So $650 for structural integrity repair.
I think they've already spent like 1,500 on the structural repairs, so maybe that's.
My biggest question is, I'm just curious, and we don't know this, we're kind of alert right now with the drought, but what's gonna happen when it rains? I mean, is that ditch gonna be cleared out enough and, you know,
It should, nothing infilling that foundation, the vents, the block, and sealing that crawl space. They can put a vapor barrier down in there if they wanted to, which will
I think-
help. Do they do that? I feel like
Did do that,
yeah,
he did the vapor barrier.
that's what I thought. So having the vapor barrier will help too, but sealing off with, your CMU block around your vents, that'll help a lot too. It's not necessarily gonna keep the water off of the structure, but it's gonna keep it from getting under there, if that makes sense. I think at that point, it'd be more or less just making sure that that ditch is maintained, and it's cut out, and that, you know, we're making sure that it's not gonna be blocked. It's got a clear passage to get to the road where it
going
needs
to
to
any
go.
of the other neighbors' yards and causing them more
Right.
issues?
So looking at our request from last month, you're telling me that, or you're telling us that you feel like 2 of the 3 items have either been completed or they're at least working on them?
Yes. They've cleared out the backyard like we've asked. Like I said, had code enforcement issue the citation on the neighbors to help keep that ditch line clear. They've gone under and put in gravel to get the water out from under the house. It's dry. They provided the structural engineer's report every time we've, asked for them. They're doing things to try to mitigate that water issue, but also work to where they can start doing the repairs.
So we're down to item number 2, which was structural. What's gotta be done and what it costs, right?
We did get the report, just not what it's gonna cost.
But from the way I understand it though, but we're making repairs on structural. I don't think we should be doing none of that till we get solved up here. I am hearing that right?
I think it's more or
Like
less,
she just said,
I don't know what
they
they
spent
spent the
$1,500 on
$1,500
structural
on.
already.
that could have been the gravel that they put in under for the water. That could have been for the piers to add that temp support.
I think right now you're only at $8,000. That's not even 10% of the value.
So what's your recommendation going forward? On
My
the code side?
recommendation, I say, it's got water damage, yes. It can be fixable though. I think we've seen a lot worse. Is it in a good state of repair? No, I mean, it needs work, don't get me wrong. But I think that they are taking the steps that we've asked, to get to where we are now. And as long as they're pulling proper permits, I don't mind to work alongside of that structural engineer. I trust them, that's what they're paid to do too. Ultimately, we're trying to get compliance. So if they are gonna be willing to do that and go step by step with us, we still have the structural engineer to help us too, just to make sure we're not missing anything. I say to let them pull it and get it going.
So how long are we gonna study the foundation to make sure it don't move no more? Didn't I hear you read that?
That's right, that's right.
How
They
long
did
is
say
that gonna last?
that would be something I would need to reach out to them and ask. I think more or less, once they get that foundation closed in with the CMU block and they have the vapor barrier down, when it rains, just monitor to see if it does shift, if it does move, if you're seeing more water intrusions or not. I think it depends on when the next rainfall is gonna be, a big rainfall.
It's a very fluid situation, fortunately.
And also, if we don't allow them to do the infill on it, then when it does rain, it's gonna be back to square one, and it's gonna get worse, and what's the point in this? Like,
Right. Right. And according to codes, the things that need to be repaired, to bring it up to compliance, you've given that information to them, correct?
that's the thing, I need to see the framing members. So when they get that sheathing off the walls and we can see what needs to be replaced, we can go from there. Obviously, we know structurally wise, like with your framework, a lot of it is gonna have to be replaced.
And that is not this, $650 that you were referring to, right?
That's enough,
No.
but that's what he said on the
No.
breakdown.
There, because I'm thinking there's no way.
Not to do your joists, and if, like I said, I don't know how, until they take that sheathing off the walls and I can really see what's been damaged in your studs, I'm not 100% certain on it. So that's the biggest thing, is them deciding if they want to strip it completely down to your framework and then we go in and look and say X, Y, and Z needs to be fixed, or if they want to take the structural engineer's recommendation and just look for the spotted issues, et cetera, like they've kind of laid out for them, and go from there and take the sheetrock off and fix it. That's up to them, what they decide to do, but, cause that's the option for them.
Okay.
Okay, so at this point, when are they gonna have that part done?
Which part?
As far as stripping the sheathing off and telling us what that's gonna cost? Or did I miss that? Do you have that already?
I don't think that I think they've kind of been waiting on us, I guess, essentially, to start doing that. More or less, I think the biggest thing for the past couple orders has been to mitigate that water, and that's what they've been doing. So now here we are getting into the framework, so they haven't started that. But I would say as soon as we give them the go-through, they can start that. Like I said, just go ahead and get proper permits, but honestly, before I would really get too deep into that too, I would go ahead and kind of look at the infill too and start getting that done too. Get that closed in. So if both of those could start taking place, in my opinion, that would be the best route to take, is to,
In my brain, I'm thinking, get the infill done to protect what you have now from being further damaged, but meanwhile, look and see what you have to do to get it up to code, and go ahead and get that bid and that outline down to make sure we don't go over that threshold, because that can get costly. Just the framing, the supports, and was any of the ceiling joists or anything damaged by the movement, or was it just all floor?
I don't know how old the roof is necessarily. I don't remember seeing, and I could be wrong, I don't remember seeing really any sags in the ceiling.
I just know when a building can move.
Exactly, it will
It-
shift, right,
And you can,
right.
yeah.
I think it's one of those things, we would have to, if there is attic access, just look up in there and look at the framing members, and I'll take,
'Cause
obviously
you
Michael
can,
will be with
you
me.
can raise it, and then if that's, it's like,
Yeah,
you know,
it's still gonna
putting
be-
a
yeah.
broken bone back together wrong.
That could be part of your wall structure inspection, right?
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. We'll look at everything, especially when they, like I said, depending on if they decide to just kind of spot it and take out the sheetrock to look at those frame members, or if they say we're gonna take all of that out and look at all the frame members, we'll still look at everything from top to bottom.
In the last meeting, on June 12th, we gave permission to go ahead and, for the inspection behind all the interior finishes.
We did.
Yes, in the minutes. So, y'all ain't waiting on us.
You've completed 2 of 3, so you ready to go ahead, I guess, and start on 2, which is item 2 was the inspection of the structural behind the sheetrock.
And item 3 was the
Envelope
envelope
specialist.
specialist
Right.
for the written solution.
Which I'm assuming that's what you have, talking about infilling the block and everything. Gotcha.
Okay. So I guess we need to figure out,
And it sounds like it's your recommendation to go ahead and let them start the infill, what you've seen is satisfactory with our request.
I do, and also, like I said, based off the structural engineer's report, I mean, they're doing what they're supposed to be doing. They're keeping the water out, which is what we really wanted them to focus on anyways. I say let them start the infill, and then from there, have them rip the sheetrock out, and let's look at the framing members.
Ma'am, do you need to be excused for a second?
gosh,
Please.
you're just fine, thank you. Oh, no.
I don't think it is.
I've used it after a meeting.
Are we supposed to have any rain coming up? I haven't even looked at the weather.
I don't think so. The hurricane didn't even help us.
I keep getting alerts for Nashville for some reason. Like there's hours.
Green, you can talk, yellow, red, you are.
Fred, you're done. It's vintage. There's a little telephone thing down here, maybe. Welcome back.
I don't need it now, afterwards.
All right, sorry to reconvene. I do have a question, whether or not they take all the sheathing off or just spot check it. What is your recommendation, or does that matter? My fear is, what if we spot check it and we miss something that could be critical?
Honestly, my personal opinion, I'd take it all off. Take it all off, check all the framing members, and then just restart it from there.
I'm thinking about mold growth.
Exactly. I don't know what's underneath that. I don't know how far it's spanned. I don't know. This part of the living room might be fine, but this part of the living room might not be. So I personally would say take it all off and let's look. So that way if you do have, I mean, I don't know, if you do spot it and you end up taking out more than you originally, planned or whatever, and it's basically down to nothing, you should just took it all off to begin with. So I'd recommend just taking it all off. Look at the framing members and then go from there. Replace what you need and just put new sheetrock up.
Okay, and once you do that, is there a code threshold to bring everything up to current code once you do that?
Since it's just structural, I would definitely have an electrician come out and just check all the wiring and make sure it's fine. Same for plumbing. They're not necessarily replacing, to my knowledge. I don't know what they're going to have to do. Some of it they might, but I think it's more or less like replacing the bathtub or, the toilets, things of that sort. I don't think they're going to have to rerun any of that plumbing. And if they do, then they'll just need to get a licensed plumber to do it. Same with the electrician. But I think more or less what I really see is just the structural integrity of it, just from the water damage. So I won't really know until we get in there and they say, hey, we're wanting to replace this. Okay, we'll make sure you get that. So it just.
So it almost sounds like now we just need to have them take all the sheathing off and get a bid for making it right.
Right.
And then reevaluate to see if it's at that threshold or not. That's what's in my mind. I don't know. No other questions on that. And with that sheathing, also have the electrician and plumber come out just to make sure, because those drains can, they come loose. And then, all of your wastewater's underneath the house causing another problem.
Do we need to include cosmetics in the repair price?
Not just up to code.
You're talking about land, cabinets, things of that sort? No. It's more or less like
Okay.
all your framework members, whatever you're gonna have to fix, whether that be your walls on the exteriors, if you've got to replace headers, if you've got to replace anything in your ceiling, anything.
So that's what has to stay under
Exactly.
50, okay.
Yeah.
that makes
Example,
sense.
if you were
That's what I was
doing a
getting worried. I was
renovation,
like,
you
I don't
wouldn't
think we're
count
gonna-
those things you would be doing a renovation on. You would just be counting the bones, basically.
Okay, perfect.
Yeah. Your
What it
bones
would
of
get to
the
make that structure solid. I'm not looking at, what it's gonna cost for y'all to put in.
New floors
Yeah,
and
new tub
new
or
paint.
whatever.
Okay, okay,
Yeah.
that makes sense.
I need to know what it's gonna cost to put in like she said, the bones of it. That's another thing too. I don't necessarily want them to start, they can take the sheathing off, that's fine. But especially with like the infill on the vents, I'd prefer to have those, or a permit in for that. But at that point, really, they need to just pull a big building permit for the umbrella of it instead of pulling separate ones, because we're gonna have to go out anyways. So I'd like all that to kind of be included. I don't know how y'all wanna do that, because like I know y'all are gonna wanna see numbers before they really start and commence all that. But at the same time, I don't necessarily want them to go crazy with it until I get that permit in. Does that make sense?
Well, I would entertain a motion to let them proceed with the infill as we requested with the, based on the report that you felt was sufficient, and proceed with removing the sheetrock so you can give us a definite on structure, what it's gonna take, come back with that number. And at that point, if we approve it, then they could start purchasing permits and proceed, correct?
I'm fine with that. I'll still go out, with Michael to look at that infill to make sure that it is code. But I'm fine with
You
that.
can
And
take
then-
pictures and document.
Yeah.
One question I have before you proceed, it's only gonna take a few days probably to make these recommendations. How quick can that happen?
Next Wednesday, she said. Next Wednesday. Get all the sheetrock off and then fill that and get me out there.
I just don't wanna drag out the process.
Yeah.
Do we think about getting the information back, or do we hold it up for another month? I mean, at that point, there's nothing else to study. We're either gonna let it go or we're not, and they can.
Is this enough grounds for emergency hearing once we get it all in?
Up to y'all. It won't delay them another month. We can
Right.
start sooner. At that point, hopefully I can,
But here's the
we give them a
problem.
week, next Wednesday, and I'm able to go out and they have infilled those blocks, or your vents with the block, and they've got all the sheetrock off the walls, and we're able to do an inspection. I mean, if we need to, that Thursday, come present to you guys what it's gonna cost. Hopefully they're gonna have by then, and then we can move. That's what y'all wanna do.
That's the 18th. That's next Thursday.
Up to y'all.
I wouldn't try to push it to 1 week, if you need to.
I'm
Yeah.
gonna be out of town that next week, but that's fine.
Vice Chair, take care of it, baby.
Okay.
I'm looking at the 24th.
Mhm. Yes.
I would think so. That gives them time to make sure everything's.
Okay. The quicker we get this done, the less risk we have of further damage.
Was there a motion?
We need to put that in the form of a motion.
Do I need to repeat it?
The form of a motion.
Okay. I would motion that we allow them to proceed with the infill of the block based on the report that was given from Tori, and the fact that she's gonna monitor that and document the procedure, and that they could proceed with removing the inside sheathing so they can come back within 2 weeks with some structural information and numbers to repair.
Electrical and plumbing.
Also make sure all the plumbing and electrical have been evaluated at the same time.
With numbers.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. I would like to add, to also have bids for the total cost of everything when they return.
How many bids do you want? Because like I said, with them already having that construction company, like, do you want them, just them?
Is he your construction company? You're gonna use him solely?
Probably, yeah.
I think that's sufficient. Someone. Yeah. No. Yeah, we have a motion and a second.
Vice Chairperson Ezell.
Abstain.
Commissioner Sherrill.
Yes.
Commissioner Souter.
Yes.
Chairperson Davis.
Okay, thank you. Next, on the order is 1646 Keeble Street. This is show cause hearing with owners to be in attendance.
So progress has been made. It's definitely not complete, but I did go by on Tuesday, and I kind of took some pictures just to see.
We took another load off this morning, as
Took
you
one
know.
else this morning, yes, sir. We got like one more load on that west side, and we start on those.
Other time. So, if you're looking at their house, where I was, it's not where all of the yard is, majority of the yard, I guess I should say. It's more where their driveway is. That is pretty much, I mean, they're getting it cleared out pretty fast. So that's what he's saying, is that right there, they probably got one more load.
Issue, there was a gentleman from Code that met us at the dump. He was there, and he said that we should only be able to take a load once a month and pay for more, and you had told us that we could go once a week, which we have been doing faithfully.
Yeah, Robert Parker, he's the
Yeah.
sanitation supervisor. He did call me today. I think you guys were actually up there at that
Yeah.
time.
Yeah, we was up there at the time.
He said, that he doesn't mind for the, I guess, coming up there so often. This is just what I was told, that it was costing the city more money to take because so much was coming in. So he could limit it down to once a month. However, I do have civic groups. I think I tried to call you, but I don't know if you got my voicemail or not.
I don't think I did.
Yeah. We've got some civic groups too. I was gonna see if you guys were interested in to try to help out, get some of that taken care of and remedied.
Anything that's, get the job done.
So how much is currently completed percentage-wise from where we began?
From where we began, I don't want to say 50, because, I mean, you still got quite a bit on that one side. But from where we begin, I mean, I can see the concrete slab in the back of that.
And can we tell if there's any hazardous materials or anything that can cause, other than rodents and pests, to bother neighbors?
I know one of the biggest things when we first saw everything was that it was kind of blocking some of those egress doors, and those are completely clear. You can get in and out of those. So other than that, I couldn't really tell you what all was necessarily back there, but
We haven't been able to contact with any of the civic groups or anything to help out yet.
I haven't yet, because I tried to get a hold of them, and then I just.
I know that was on our
Yeah.
last
Yeah,
month's
yeah.
agenda and motions.
I
that we
didn't
would
want to
that.
do anything, and then I'm sure that they would say yes, like, we'll take the help, but I didn't want to do that and then push them over there and then be like, whoa, you know, so.
Okay. So, after you spoke to the sanitation supervisor, are we now back to just once a month?
I can't control what they do. That's not my call. That's what they told me. So.
And how big of a load can they take in that 1 month period?
Truck in the trailer, with
They
the
said that's
5x8
fine.
trailer, and a truck with sideboards.
Say what it would cost for you to dump another load there. Did he give you a price?
I'll sure he did.
How many dumpsters would it take to get this done?
Size, honestly.
I would say 2, maybe 3. I'd probably get most of it done in 2 big ones, probably.
So that's $400 to $600 for dumpster rental through the city.
They've been charging us 5.
Okay, it must be the big
For
ones. Okay.
30-yard.
Yeah, I'm
The
thinking
ones
about
from
ones.
the city, they're $200 for 3 days, I think.
Right. Oh, okay, so these are the great big ones then. Okay, my apologies. We've been working on this for a while.
I'm willing to get it out of there. I would love to get it out of there, but we've done the best we
I
can.
know. They're doing a great thing.
We had 2 weeks last month, the truck was broke down, so
Yeah, that's-
it slowed us down just a little, but we got it fixed.
So what are suggestions other than civic groups to try to expedite and assist? Because we're kind of locked.
Ask them if they'd be willing to take it to the landfill.
The one in Chattanooga, we've tried to take stuff to Chattanooga before, and they've said, since we live in East Ridge, we have to go to East Ridge.
I can make some calls too and see if I can try to pull something out, at least to help them.
And now y'all have communicated, y'all can work on maybe some of these groups and contacts. Because
Yes,
it's something that
yes.
we wanted done by this month, because we're trying to get it expedited for you guys as soon as possible. Because it's been in front of us for several months now. We're just trying to get you guys,
That's
get
been
this
only
off
a-
your shoulders.
That's been only hold up for me. I mean, I'd be willing to do it every day, but they want to.
you have nowhere to take it. Yeah, I understand that.
Scotty Miller about it.
That was gonna be my next thing too, yeah.
Okay,
I don't wanna
good.
step on nobody's toes, cause that's not my department, but, yeah, when he's back, he's on vacation.
So do we have any suggestions?
Is there a place there Tori, to park a large dumpster
Yes,
and a way to get a truck in and out?
my other resource I was thinking about is, who we usually use for our demolitions, Freedom Roll Off. They clean that stuff out too. I'll see if there's a way that Rick can maybe work with them, work with us, see if there's a more affordable approach to help get things out. I just need to call him and see what he can or what he's willing to do.
I know at our last meeting, we discussed maybe the city going in and just taking care of it for them, and then, you know, that would unfortunately put a lien on the back end, you know. Just as a worst-case scenario, you know.
That happens, basically, the city would run it, so we would send crews out, and this is not what we're gonna do, but it would be run it, and basically, our guys will go out and take it all, but then a lien would be placed on probably whatever the cost is for them to do all that. I don't want to do that, because it's gonna put you on a hard. So, I'm gonna try to see. Yeah, that's last resort for anything we try to do,
Right.
but.
Right, just as an option, just so we know all of the things that are there, so, okay. What are suggestions now at this point? Okay. We have a motion to pass to August 14th. Do we have a second?
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second to pass to August 14th.
Vice Chairperson Ezell,
Yes.
Commissioner Sherrill,
Yes.
Commissioner Souter,
Yes.
Chairperson Davis.
Yes. Okay, thank you guys so much.
Y'all,
Thank you.
God bless.
Next item is 1029 South Seminole Drive, status of the demolition of the dwelling.
That house is gone. This can be closed. Poses no threat.
Make a motion to close the South Seminole.
We have a motion and a second to close South Seminole Drive. Awesome.
Vice Chairperson Ezell. Commissioner Sherrill.
Yes.
Commissioner Souder.
Yes.
Chairperson Davis.
Yes. Last item is 3602 Phelps Street. This is the update, status update on obtaining building permits to perform that fire damage remodel.
So, as y'all are aware from the, emergency meeting, the new owners were here. They gained that ownership literally the next day. Brent reached out to me, I wanna say that Monday maybe, and went ahead and pulled permits. We approved those. They have the entire roofing system off of the house, and they were starting to do clear out of everything. Unfortunately, I just got an email on Monday from the fire department that another fire did happen in that house. There's no power on the house. We're not really sure what happened. It's under investigation. So with that being said, the fire chief is the one that sent myself and Michael Howell the email that it did happen. The fire investigator and the fire marshal called me on Tuesday after they were aware of it, and they went out and talked to, they talked to Brent, but they were talking to his crew as well. All work has stopped for now until the fire investigator clears that to go back and start doing the repairs on. I don't know the amount of damage. I don't know anything. It's still under investigation. I couldn't get anything.
We don't even know where it started.
Exactly. I know that it was in the garage. I did see that part. But the cause of it, how much it damaged to the structure that wasn't already damaged enough, I could not tell you right now.
What date was that?
This apparently was on Monday morning. He sent the email to us around 3 a.m. So,
Oh, it was in the middle of the night.
I think it might have been a little bit earlier, and he might have sent me that email a little bit later. Hold on, I can tell you.
Oh, it was past Monday? The 8th?
It was 1:03 a.m. And the email just got sent to me at 3-ish in the morning.
So do we want to hold on to this until we get all the information back? Is there a stop, obviously there's like a stop work order on it.
Not by me
No.
necessarily, the fire investigator. Once
Right.
they clear that and I can get the report, they tell me, they let me know how much more damage. I can talk with Michael Howell and see where we're at, if, you know, we've got to take different plans. I don't know, like I said, I don't know how bad that fire was or how bad it made that structure. But as of now, yes, technically there is a stop work order until I get a phone call and say that they're clear. And the property owners are aware of that, so.
Okay. Pass, yeah. Do you have a motion?
Second.
Motion and a second. That's so unfortunate.
Vice Chairperson Ezell. Commissioner Sherrill.
Yes.
Commissioner Souder.
Yes.
Chairperson Davis.
Yes.
So if fire marshal decides, you know, they get done, and y'all look at it and it's really not a whole lot, then you actually have the authority, because we didn't stop it, to tell them they can continue, correct?
If it's something now y'all know, if it's something crazy, I will speak up and say, no, like, this is way more than what you need to do. But like I said, I don't know how bad it was. It could have been one of those things, I don't know. I don't even know how to explain it, how it happened, because I don't know what happened. So, I don't know if it just did a little bit of damage and all that was coming off anyways, or if it's done a lot of damage.
I was thinking, how? If there's no electricity, there's no, how?
Either fireworks or somebody, there's only two.
It could be that, I don't know.
Fireworks over the weekend with construction, you know, supplies.
Yeah, yeah. True, and was it secure? All the questions. So, any additional comments or correspondence from the board regarding any of the cases this evening?
Are we doing an emergency hearing on Glomont? Is that what we said? What date? I'm sorry, I didn't hear y'all. I
On
know
the-
you said 2 weeks.
24th.
I did have a question for her on Keeble. With your discussion with, who created this mess? Did these two create it, part of our problem, or did they inherit it?
I think they inherited it. So the owner of the house, I think it's the lady's uncle, maybe. I could be wrong. And apparently they brought in stuff, or he brought in stuff. I'm not real sure how the story went. Do you?
This is the one that was subject to an emergency meeting within the last 6 months, maybe?
I think
No,
so.
we didn't do emergency
I
hearing
don't think
on
we
that one.
had to.
That one was on State Line Road.
Is this not the one where you struggled to get in the front door?
No. That was state line.
Okay.
Yeah, no.
For
Yes.
some reason, I thought they looked very similar to the people that came in with that
Oh, Miss Anita, yeah, no.
walked around collecting
Yeah.
Yeah, no.
the rodent problem. So-
We were able to close that because she got that together. This one, it's just the backyard. I don't know what they had going on. Apparently they just brought in stuff. I don't know if they were trying to sell it. It really got a little confusing because I ain't never seen nothing like that before, but
The inside of that house was
It was fine,
good, because
yeah.
I remember seeing the outside and all the cars going, we need to check out the inside.
yeah.
And the owner, I believe, is just, he's not in good
He
condition.
came in the first night.
Not happy that we went in there,
Well,
but I kind of had no choice because
it's for his best. I have a concern about Keeble. I thought about this driving here today, and I squirreled during the meeting. With the heat, the drought, I'm afraid of, like you said, fireworks. If there's anything combustible back there that we don't know of, it's a risk.
honestly, I don't remember. And
I
could
remember
be
seeing
wrong.
cardboard in those
Yeah,
pictures,
that's
a
it.
lot of cardboard.
Who owns the house?
Technically, Michael Lawson, the older guy that was here,
Doc?
No, the
the
original
first
guy.
time that he was here.
The elderly guy who was in such bad
So at
shape.
some point, if we decide to have the city to clean it up, and they run a lien on the property, it's not their property anyway.
No.
How long do we let it drag on?
Till August 14th.
Yes. Make sure they have the options for any kind of help they can get. And correct me if I'm wrong, with a lien on the property, they don't have to pay that until they sell the property. So
That is
they
not
don't-
true.
I'm sorry?
That is not true anymore.
That's not true.
It
Okay,
gets placed on their tax bill now,
okay.
and their tax bill is not considered paid in full if that lien is not paid.
Get delinquent fees
So
and
they-
And that
it-
can drag on and expate for 4 years, and then they can lose their house. Okay, all right, that's not good.
that's
What did-
really a last resort.
Did that change recently?
Not recently, it's been since 2018.
Okay. I was not aware, so thank you. Wow, that's a last resort.
I'll make some calls. I can't promise anything with Rick. I'll see what I can try to swing or if he can work with them. That's the best I'll get with neighbors, helping neighbors.
You actually think 2 large dumpsters would get rid of it?
Possibly. Maybe close, a heck of a lot closer than what it is right now. I can tell you that much. But that's the thing
On the
too.
boat yet?
It's all on the other side with everything else. Yeah. I couldn't really tell you where it's at.
Okay. Do we have any more discussion or questions tonight? If we don't, we're adjourned. Awesome, thank you.
This one I have now. I have